How would you describe yourself as a child?
A basic regular child, you know. Did a lot of reading, played basketball, you know. Was chasing skirts, you know, chasing these young girls at my age, you know. Hanging out with the fellas. Just typical upbringing in New York City. You know, going to the Rucker, you know, looking up the street legends, basketball legends. When I say street legends, street basketball legends and infamous gangster street dudes. So, you know, I already knew like from an early age that the lifestyle, the criminal lifestyle, would be a possibility because we was around it, we was immersed in it. You know,
So you said that you were really into reading very early on, right? So that were
fact,
you really into school then, or you just were really into like self reading?
I was into more self reading. I was into school, but it wasn't. I wasn't learning as much as I did on my own in school. You know, in
Mm.
school they teach you the basics. They got their little curricula, and then they teach you whatever it is. But when I did my self reading, and I learned to play with words and learn different words, I used to just get the dictionary and just study words. You know, and when we go to school, there's 30, 35 kids in the classroom. So the teacher is only one teacher. So that teacher can't have a private session with you because that teacher has to teach a group. You understand?
Right.
A large group. So you have to take it upon yourself to learn by going home, reading. You know, the internet was becoming a thing. So I was onto the internet shit early on. Like I was on the internet in 1995. You know,
Oh, you was on AOL and shit?
I was on AOL. I was going to the library to get pictures because I used to like Dragon Ball Z when I was young, and this before the American version came out. Me, Hulk, a couple of my boys, we used to go to Fordham Road in the Bronx to the Chinese store, and in the back they'll sell bootleg Dragon Ball tapes from out of Japan. So we'll pay like $25 a tape, but it'll have like 5 episodes on each tape. So we was up to Dragon Ball '95, and we used to draw that shit and shit like that. So I was into shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yo, so let me ask you this, okay? Because I feel like a lot of black people love anime almost just as much as Asian people. What is it about anime that black people love so much?
The, the, the storyline and the realistic, cartoonish um, depiction of the characters, right? So I know that don't probably make sense, but let me break it down. Usually, the cartoons we grew up on, Tom and Jerry, Bugs Bunny, it just it wasn't like anime. Anime, the movement was different. The fucking shit was like it just reminded you of one of them old school karate movies. You ever saw like Five
Yeah,
Deadly
yeah, no, I
Weapons?
know what you mean. Is there's more realism to the art?
Yes, it's more realism to the art, and the graphics was amazing. So anime caught me early on. I'm a big fan of anime. I love it. Fist of the North Star, that caught me too. Akira, all that shit was just fire. You heard?
So in 95, you're already going on like AOL, going on the internet and everything, right? Were you going into the chat rooms and shit?
I used to go into the chat rooms, but I didn't understand it. Like I'll be too nervous, like because I don't know the people, right? So you
Right.
can't. Back in the day, you go to the chat room, you don't know who you're talking to,
Right.
and then we already had all kind of memos throughout the school. Don't talk to strangers. So I would just see how the internet worked, but I was never really into it to where it was like I'm trying to make connections or network through the chat room. I was just like amazed by I could talk to somebody in fucking France in a chat room. You know,
Right,
I was amazed
right.
by the technology, but the internet. I was like early on. I was a consumer, and I was seeing where it was going back then because I was young. I was like 9 years old, and I was like, look, wow, like nobody had a computer in the neighborhood, so you had to go to the library. The public library was the only place you could go and access the internet, and then the hood started getting computers and the AOL connection, the modems and things like that.
Right.
Mhm.
So at an early age, were you already into music?
I grew up listening to hip hop back in I'm talking about like late '80s. Like I was like a a 3-4 year old kid. And the first rap I remember was Big Daddy Kane. That was on the cable box where you had to turn the nozzle to get to the channels. It wasn't digital yet. There was no remote. So you had to turn the nozzle, and MTV was a stable because BET, they didn't play hip hop. They played in Video Soul. They played like New Edition and R&B, Jody Watley and shit like that. So MTV had Yo MTV raps. And then the first rap I heard was Big Daddy Kane and Ain't No Half Stepping. And when I heard that shit, I was like, oh my God. His wordplay was crazy.
Right, right.
Damn. I was like, look at that shit right there. You know? It was amazing.